Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 173 of the Nigeria Football Weekly podcast. Me host Olu Oke. And boy, am I happy to be back with yet another episode for your listening pleasure. Of course, in this episode, I'll be talking about how Nigerian players performed in all their games involving in their different clubs over the past week. And as we look forward to the final squad list announced by the Nigeria Football Federation for our games against Gabon and hopefully Cameroon and DR Congo, I'll be giving my thoughts on who I expect to make the squad list as we look forward to prosecuting that game next week. Of course, I'll do the usual Starboy of the week and let you know how our players performed and ones to watch for the week coming. One thing to just say is thanks for bearing with me on the delay in releasing this episode. I'm recording this on Tuesday evening. It's currently 5:30. Arsenal are about to play. I would have recorded it yesterday, but housekeeping, I was in our neighbor's country. I was in Ghana for a wedding, and honestly, Ghana, wow, I have to say I was very impressed, man. Nigeria, we have a long way to go, let me not lie to you. But shout out to our brothers in Ghana. Also, shout out to the uncle. Uncle, if you're watching this, I had one of the uncles at the wedding mention that he watches the podcast. So I want to thank you so much for the support directly. And please keep supporting, this podcast for everybody of all ages, of all types, of all races, of all genders, in all locations. So that was really heartwarming for Uncle to, call me out and mention that he listens to the podcast and that we should keep up the good work. So I really, really appreciate that, Uncle. Also, one more thing, I want to say a big shout out to all of our listenership. I want to thank you guys for engaging with all the content, whether it's a video, long video, whether it's a short. I see the Akinsanmiro videos got quite a lot of traction on YouTube and TikTok over the past week. Even on, if you listen on Spotify, the DSPs, Apple Podcasts, thank you so much. Please continue to follow, continue to give us 5-star ratings on any of those DSP channels. On YouTube, continue to like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate everything and we do not take it for granted. Of course, we look forward to the Super Eagles playing very, very soon. But we do have one more episode because we have club football going on for the rest of this week and the weekend. Also, apologies about my voice. Like I said, I was in a wedding. And, I like to enjoy the music and be loud. So if it comes across a bit harsh, forgive me for that. So anyway, straight to business. Where do we start? Who are the standout performers for the week in terms of Nigerian players in their club sides and the Super Eagles Index? For this episode, I have to start with Maduka Okoye. Much maligned unfairly, you may say sometimes. He has 17 caps for Nigeria and has only gotten maybe 2 of those caps in the last 2 years. But this is a player that since coming back from his suspension has been really, really lighting it up for his club Udinese and putting in really good performances. Last Wednesday, he made 9 saves against Juventus. 9. Yes, you heard that correctly. Unfortunately, they lost 3-1. 2 of those goals were even penalties, so there's not much he could have done about that. So he conceded 1 from open play. Yes, he probably could have done better for that goal, but hey, when you make 9 saves in a match, you're definitely doing something right as a player. To even make it even better, he then followed up that performance in midweek with a clean sheet for Udinese as they beat Ademola Lookman's Atalanta 1-0 over the weekend. So honestly, really, really amazing to see from Maduka Okoye so far. And he has 100% earned his place in the Super Eagles squad, so would expect him to be named in the squad list when it is released by the NFF. Today is Tuesday. I won't be surprised they end up dropping the list today, but I think it's more likely going to be tomorrow. But of course, I'll do a reaction video of the squad list once that's dropped. But I just wanted to highlight Maduka Okoye's performances so far and how well he's been doing. So keep up the great work, Maduka. Another person who's had a pretty good week, you could say, not all the way, but Ademola Lookman finally scored his first goal of the season in Serie. Also in the midweek game for Atalanta against AC Milan. Also a great strike with his left foot. Those Ademola Lookman specials where he just roofs the ball into the net. And Mike Maignan was one of the hardest goalkeepers to score against in Serie. So really, really amazing to see. One thing to also know was his 40th Serie A goal. So quite a good achievement for someone that's not an out-and-out striker. And this is only, his 3rd full season maybe in Italy. or it might be his fourth that he's about to start. So at the moment, only Victor Osimhen, who ended up with 65, has scored more Serie A goals from Nigerian players in that division. Nwankwo, you remember him, he scored 34 goals while he was playing for Salernitana and some other teams. So really, really good to see Ademola Lookman get back on the score sheet. It's a shame his team did not perform as well over the weekend against Udinese, but it's a win-win because Okoye played well in that game. Arokodare, just to call on some good news, he scored his second Wolves goal for Wolverhampton against Chelsea last week. Well taken goal and good finish, even though they got thrashed. They got beaten in that game in the League Cup. He has to take his opportunities when they come, you know. He's not a player that's ever going to displace Strand Larsen anytime soon. And we all know how it went for him over the weekend with Wolves losing yet again. And of course, their manager being fired after such a paltry performance yet again. But remember last week we spoke about Lookman and Arokodare needing to show some more workings. Obviously, Lookman to a more extent has shown workings because he scored in Serie A. But still good to see Arokodare get on the score sheet, even though he's still waiting for his Premier League career itself to ignite for Wolverhampton. Another person I have to shout out, and I'm really, really impressed by his performances lead up to national team selection, is Moses Simon. He scored the only goal for Paris FC over the weekend as they went to Monaco and got a 1-0 smash and grab victory. Good cutback from his teammate, Captain Maxi Lopez, and he was right there to strike the ball straight into the net with his right foot, actually. Another person, I already spoke about him, but we have to call out his good performances yet again over the weekend. Ebenezer Akinsanmiro's Pisa team. Akinsanmiro's was in action as they drew 2-2 against Torino. And he actually hit the post in this game, which would have been was so unlucky because he would have scored his first Serie A goal. Just to keep on talking about his good performances, you know, he had a strike and he hit the bar, and then from the resulting rebound, his teammates headed the ball back to another teammate who then smashed the ball into the net. So really good performance from Akinsanmiro yet again. Pisa, they're actually doing okay for a newly promoted side. They've played 10 games, they've drawn 6, they've lost 4, but they're above the relegation zone, and they've been very unlucky not to get a few wins recently. Remember the AC Milan game, they considered a last minute goal. Even this game again, they consider yet again a last minute goal. So it's just not clicking 100% yet, but they're very close and they're putting up a really good battle. I've also heard reports that Akinsanmiro should be called up to the national team, so let's see. Some people say it's too soon or it's not the right time, but when is the right time? It's not like he's coming to start, but let him be bedded into the team and be getting familiar with the environment. We have an AFCON to play in literally next month. We're already in November. You know, in 6 weeks' time, pretty much, there'll be, in fact, less than 6 weeks, they'll be gathering for camp for AFCON. So this is how you blood in these youngsters. If we don't have any friendly games to play until we play Egypt before the AFCON, and even in March next year, if we're successful against Gabon, we're not playing friendlies until the beginning of June before the World Cup. So you have to find moments, even though it's competitive games, to blood in these good players that deserve to be in the national team. So I just wanted to shout out Akinsanmiro. Another player, not necessarily because he scored or assisted, but it was really good to see Rafael Onyeka back in action for Club Brugge. As you guys know my feelings and thoughts on this, he's our best central midfielder that we have. Onyeka is very dynamic. Yes, he's great as a defensive midfielder, but he can also do a box-to-box job. And he also has a good long shot on him. Look, he ain't no Declan Rice. I'm not putting that on him. But he's a Champions League caliber central midfielder who can play as a 6 and an 8 as well, and does it very well. So, in fact, he's the person that I believe should be starting every game in our central midfield based on the performances he shows both for club and country. So, really, really good to see him back just in time for the international break as well. We already know we're short in midfield during the last international break and had only 4 midfielders initially. And you already know my feelings on him. So, it's a no-brainer to see Onyeka back in the team, and really, really good. And hopefully he'll definitely be called up, but hopefully he performs well for Club Brugge in their Champions League game this week ahead of the international break. Also, Samuel Chukwueze, similar reasons for Onyeka. I wanted to call out the fact that he's back playing for Fulham. Really, really good to see him playing over the weekend. He was even unlucky not to score the winning. Fulham were 3-1 up against Wolves, but Chukwueze hit the post in the pretty much the last minute of the game, and it was very unlucky because it looked like it was easier to scored a miss. But anyway, he's getting himself back in the right positions. Also, our last game is against Benin Republic. Remember, those first 45 minutes were probably the best or one of the best 45 minutes we've seen Chukwueze have for the Nigerian national team. So very, very timely. That connection with him and Osimhen is very vital for our performances. And we've seen the workings in our last Super Eagles game. So good to see him back to full fitness. Hopefully he gets proper game time for Fulham in their game over the weekend, which I'll come to. And you know that Eric Shell seems to be a big fan of Chukwueze. Some of his really good performances over the past 2-3 years have literally come under Eric Shell as the manager. So we wish Chukwueze all the best and really, really, really good to see. So that's the list of players who are hot for this week. But before we move to the others that aren't so hot, there are some other players I wanted to shout out. So Gift Urban is one of them. Ako Adams as well and Omar Sadiq. All three of these players got assists this week. Gift Urban in particular, he got an assist for Verona in their 2-1 loss to Inter Milan, but he was very, very good in this game. He also hit the post. It's looking like Gift Urban is finally settling in really, really well in Serie. I'm beginning to show the kind of form that made him one of the top hot prospects in football just a few years ago. So I think it's worth continuing to monitor Gift Urban, and he's a very dynamic player. He has some assets that some other players we have as strikers do not have. So really, really wanted to call out Gift Urban's good performance. They were very unlucky to lose this match to Inter Milan. Inter Milan scored a last-minute own goal safe, last kick of the game, but that's what champions do. But Gift Urban, I salute your performance. Dust yourself off and keep going again. Ako Adams and Omar Sadiq, it's more for their Copa del Rey performances in midweek because their clubs. Omar Sadiq didn't. I don't think he played for Real Sociedad over the last game. But Ako Adams over the weekend, Atletico Madrid thrashed Sevilla. But in midweek in the Copa del Rey, he did get an assist in their 4-1 win over Toledo. And Omar Sadiq also got an assist in the Copa del Rey as well. And then also someone who's hot, but I just wanted to mention it. It's not to do with the Super Eagles, but Edna Imade, obviously not for the Super Eagles, more Super Falcons. She scored the only goal of the game over the weekend as Real Sociedad beat Barcelona's women's team 1-0, which ended their 167 game scoring streak in Liga Feminine. This is a league where they play how many games? Like 20-something a year. So 167 games. Let's do the maths. That's almost like 5, 6, 7 years. Correct me if my maths is not mathing. I read a quote by Madugu saying that he spoke to her, and apparently she may be eligible for Spain, and they're trying to delay or give her a passport. Look, Super Eagles, we can even beg in some positions, but Super Falcons, we will not beg anybody. I beg. There's Give Monday and co. This is a very Nigerian babe. Come and play for Nigeria. If you want to wait and play for Spain, no problem. We're not going to beg you. But that's what I've heard about that. But let's see what Guan. Now, not so hot. Just quickly touch on two players that are struggling for game time recently. Zedu Sanusi, after initially doing well post the last international break, we're not really sure what's going on here because he's not been in the Porto squad for their last 2 games. We know he had a great comeback this season, even scoring a goal. But for some reason, he's only played just 14 minutes, which was against Nottingham Forest in the Europa League since the last international break. Also, Uche, it's a bit unfortunate, he's still on the list because he's the only one that's on this list again because Lookman and Arokodare did end up showing some good performances. The problem is he's not getting any minutes. That's the real problem. Even League Cup games or Conference League games, he's not playing enough minutes to justify his selection. Now, there's a world where I think he could still be included in the squad for this game against Gabon and hopefully against DR Congo and Cameroon. But I'll explain why in a reason. But we know it's not due to form at the moment because he's really struggling in that regard. He played 7 minutes in that League Cup win against Liverpool last week. 7 minutes. They were even 3-0 up safe. He could have played more. So that tells you where he stands in terms of Oliver Glasner's pecking order at the moment. And he did not play over the weekend when they played Brentford. So anyway, that's a bit of a selection on just who's hot and who's not at the moment for the Super Eagles squad selection. Now, Super Eagles squad list should be coming out anytime soon because after this weekend, everybody will break for the international break. So I wanted to just give my initial thoughts on who I think could make the 23-man squad. We know that the current process is to call a 23-man squad. Yes, during tournaments in recent times, CAF or FIFA have expanded the total list pool to be 25 or 26 players, especially since the pandemic. But for the last few games, Nigeria have been calling up a 23-man squad because you're allowed 11 players on the pitch and 12 substitutes. So the way I look at it is you pretty much have one player for each position and 3 goalkeepers, So if you minus the goalkeeper position, that's 10 positions times 220 plus the 3 goalkeepers, 23. I think some of our selections you should expect are pretty routine. I don't expect too much chopping and changing from Eric Shell over the squad list because it's only been 4 weeks and we have pretty crucial competitive games, so you have to stick with the tried and trusted players who prosecuted those 2 wins against Lesotho and Benin for the Super Eagles. Also, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on who you'd love to see selected for the national team. Who do you think should not be in there? What's your own predicted squad list ahead of the release of this list? And of course, I'll be doing an overview once that squad list is dropped. So goalkeepers, I expect Nwabali, of course, to be number 1 and to be called up. Maduka Okoye should finally make his return to the national team since the June friendly against Russia. And I think Adebayo Adeleye will continue as the 3rd choice goalkeeper. He's better than Amaso Basogi or Kayode Bankole or any of the other goalkeepers that we have around the world. So those 3 goalkeepers are set. I think defenders it pretty much picks itself based on the injury situation. At the last round of internationals, Eric Shell called up Calvin Bassey, Benjamin Frederick, William Troost-Ekong, and Shemi Ajayi as centre backs. I expect all 4 of them to be called up as the centre back pairings for this round of these games against Gabon. Also, at left back, we'll see Zedu Sanusi called up and Bruno Yemachi. This one pretty much picks itself because Felix Agu is still injured. So our 2 left backs that we have at the moment who are at least of a certain caliber. Yes, Sanusi is not playing as much recently, but they should be called up. And in the right back position, I believe Osayi-Samuel is back to full fitness, even though he came off the bench in the 89th minute for Birmingham. But at least Osayi-Samuel is fit. We still have a right back problem, but I expect Osayi-Samuel to be called up. And I expect Chidozie Awaziem to be called up. I mentioned in last week's episode about how Eric Shaw was praising Awaziem and watching his games. So I expect Awaziem to be called up as a right back. And we may even see him start ahead of Osayi-Samuel. It will not surprise me. There's a world where he will probably keep Benjamin Frederick and Bassey as the centre-back pairing. Or he may decide that because of maybe pace issues. But the thing is, Boanga and Aubameyang both play in central positions for their national team. But Boanga comes in from the left too. So maybe he might choose to play Benjamin Frederick as a right back just because he's the better defender, at least from what we've seen so far. And then play an Awaziem and Bassey pairing. Because I would probably still prefer Awaziem over Shemi Ajayi or Ekong. But left to me, I'll play Awaziem as the right back and I'll keep this our centre-back pairing of Bassey and Frederick going. Let them just be playing and building their chemistry together in the national team, But those are the 8 defenders I expect to be called up. Midfielders-wise, we know that the usual suspects will be called up. Ndidi will be called up. Rafael Yedika will be called up now that he's back from injury. Frank Onyeka will be called up. He's the reason why we're even here now at this point. Alex Iwobi will definitely be called up. So that's already 4. I expect Akinsanmiro to get his maiden call-up to the national team. I think David Moses of Slavia Prague is pretty unlucky. I've seen that he's also starting the game for Slavia Prague in the Champions League against Arsenal, which I'm looking at with my left eye here. But Akinsanmiro 5. And then the reason I think Uche will be called up as the 6th midfielder / central attacking midfielder is because Dele-Bashiru remains injured. Key followers of national team know that Dele-Bashiru, despite having only 9 caps, has proven to be quite a formidable player for the national team in the last 2 years and making impacts in terms of goals and assists. But unfortunately, he's still injured. So normally, Dele-Bashiru and Iwobi would have taken those spots as the cams, or at least called up, But with Fisao being injured, I think that still gives an opportunity for Uche to retain his selection in the squad as a backup to sit on the bench. Yes, he might be able to show some workings if he comes off, but we cannot say he deserves or merits to be in the national team right now. Even though I love this player with my heart and I wish him all the best and I hope it really clicks for him because there's a serious talent in there. But that's what I expect to be caught up in terms of our midfield selection. Our attackers, 3 wingers automatically select themselves. Ademola Lookman, Moses Simon, and Samuel Chukwueze will always be in national team squads unless they are injured or something's going wrong. We know their performances, they show the workings. Lookman's back in the goals. Moses Simon scored literally yesterday for Paris FC. You know, Chukwueze hit the post and is finally back in form. We know what Chukwueze did against Benin. So those ones will always pick themselves. Now, there's a world where we could have called up yet another winger. But the problem is, I don't think there's any winger of the people that are fighting for a spot that are really, truly convincing like that. You could say Filippo Tella, Nathan Tella is injured and not scoring or assisting enough. And I'm not sure any of those players are doing enough to justify getting a position ahead of what Nigeria like to do in terms of selecting 3 strikers. Because that's still our biggest strength as a national team. And we always have a lot of strikers. So for that reason, I anticipate Eric Shaw to call up 3 wingers and then call up 3 strikers. Now, we already know Victor Osimhen and Akko Adams based on the last international. Akko Adams is probably going to be called up for sure too. So Osimhen and Akko Adams are already 2. Now, the third one, I think he will likely call up Arokodare again because Arokodare has been tried and trusted with the manager. He scored a few crucial goals for Nigeria. Yes, it did not happen for him in the last round of games. And also, it's not really happening for him for Wolverhampton, but there's a bit to be said about continuity. But the caveat I'll say is there's a world where Murphy may also be called up. You know, it will be one of those players. I will say either a Murphy, but the problem is we know Murphy is injured because of that calf injury. So actually, I take that back. So I expect Arokodare to be called up. Now, interesting enough, Boniface is now back starting games for Werder Bremen, but obviously he's not scoring as much yet. But you're beginning to see the touch of the talent in that player. You do not win the Bundesliga unbeaten without being a super talent. You do not score Champions League goals without being a super talent. I still think Boniface on his given day is comfortably our second best striker by talent and potential. But we know that Watkins, we have not yet seen it for the national team. So I do think there's a world where if Boniface is called up, I will not be surprised, but I think it's unlikely. So I would say Osimhen, Akko Adams, and Arokodare will be called up as the final selections in the strikers. I mean, it's Nigeria. We may end up seeing 4 strikers here, and they will remove 1 defender. But I'm hoping that based on what we've seen in the last round, we will see something similar to this structure in terms of the team. So, a quick bonus before I move on. As we prepare for our most important game in a long time, you know, this Gabon game, if we do not win it, we're out of the World Cup, and it will be a shame because, you know, how can we miss the World Cup? You know, after all the greatness and celebrating beating Benin Republic 4-0, you know, we have to champion. But I want you guys to let me know in the comments or on any social media channels of what does Super Eagles mean to you. You know, just in case now that we're getting bigger, small, maybe a Super Eagles footballer will see this. But maybe they can just see the comments. What does Super Eagles mean to you? I'm not sure everybody understands the impact of this team as a symbol of hope for Nigeria and Nigerians both in Nigeria and the diaspora. You know, the one thing that unites the country. Let me know your fun moments. What did the last time in the World Cup, when Ahmed Musa scored those goals, what did it mean to you? Watching us go to toe with Argentina. Just any kind of semblance of joy that's been brought to you by the national team. Or why do they matter? Let me know in the comments so we can encourage our players and continue to ginger them ahead of what is a very crucial game. So, moving on to the Super Falcons. Super Falcons drew 1-1 against Benin last week, Tuesday in Abeokuta. Great to see a sold-out stadium for the first home game for the Super Falcons since the WAFCON, even though it was played on an artificial turf. Annoyingly, the game was not broadcast, so if you're not in the stadium, you could not have watched it. These are the things you complain about the NFF. Then you now go on channels and see Amaju Pinnick complain that people are deplatforming Nigeria. That man, may God forgive him. Let's watch our words. Now I know everybody, people of all ages watch the podcast. Very disrespectful man. You did not show any workings. You are now telling us that do we know the way that they are performing Nigeria? If you did workings and we saw the workings, would anybody complain? Where's the stadium that you told them to go and build in your village, Mr. Pinnick? The days of being called out, you are not used to it, Abi, because everybody around you is yes, ma, yes, sir. Carry yourself to Ilashe Beach House. But what is the actual workings you have shown for Nigeria Football Federation? And you're telling us that, we are key appointees of FIFA. We want to go to the World Cup. We know you will be at that World Cup sitting down beside Gianni. But what have you done for your country? Then you say we are talking. Show us the evidence. If you see the waffle he was talking, he did not mention one thing he has done. Just talking grammar. As if some of us are not educated enough to understand the waffle. Brother, please, go and bring evidence of where the money and the funds have been going to. Publicly audited accounts and then keep quiet, sir. Please, with all due respect. Thank you. Anyway, Super Falcons, good to see. They've now qualified for WAFCON, and then they will go on to defend their title. We also found out during the post-match press conference that Justin Madugu has signed a 2-year contract extension. I mean, only in Nigeria, you'll be hearing for the first time that the coach signed a contract. They did not announce it on their website. They did not announce it on social media. They did not do any press conference. Then Pinnick will tell us that we are deplatforming Nigeria. Make we look these things now. Let's look at these things, my man. Even Ghana, if you see the way I saw GFA sponsorship everywhere, kudos, sponsorship. If you see stadium, space, country that is working. And yes, they still complain about their GFA. And yet us, we're just lucky we have population and great talents. That's what's helping us survive. So Pinnick, please stop that rubbish, please. Anyway, congratulations Super Falcons, and we look forward to watching you defend your crown. Also, the CAF Champions League draw has been done for Rivers United. They've been drawn into Group A for this season's CAF Champions League. They're one of the pot 3 teams based on their coefficient. The other teams in the group for Rivers United are RS Berkane. They're a Moroccan team and Confederations Cup champions, so that'll be a tough game. Also, Pyramids FC, they're actually a team from Egypt and the current defending champions of the Champions League, and Power Dynamos FC, who are Zambian champions. So Rivers United's reward is to play both the champions of the Champions League and the Confederations Cup. We just have to wish our boys good luck. But more importantly, what an achievement, even getting to the group stage again after so long. And the club is only going to be better for the experience. I'm not sure what kind of legacy it could leave continuity-wise, but you like to think that with the prize money they will get from the CAF Champions League, you know, they could even better their squad or even just make some progress as Rivers United that can even help inspire the league going forward. So we wish Rivers United all the best, and we'll of course let you know how they get on in those games. So now I know I've done 26 minutes already. Just quickly whistle through all the player reviews for the week. Last week during the midweek, Fulham actually beat Wycombe Wanderers on penalties 5-4. Bassey played all the games and Iwobi played the final 25 minutes. On Saturday, as I mentioned, they actually thrashed Wolves 3-0, not 3-1, forgive me. Chukwueze played 13 minutes, as I said, and hit the post, while Bassey and Iwobi, of course, started the game as usual. So fantastic performance from the Fulham boys. Next up for them, they go to play Everton at the Hill Dickinson Stadium on Saturday, 4 p.m. Nigeria time. And Onyeka, on the other hand, finally started a game for Brentford in their 5-0 win over Grimsby in the Carabao Cup. He was then on the bench for their 2-0 loss to Crystal Palace on Saturday. Next up for Brentford, they play Newcastle at home on Sunday, 3 p.m. Nigeria time. As for Uche, I already mentioned he only played 7 minutes against Liverpool, and he did not play in their 2-0 win over Brentford on the weekend. Let's hope he gets some minutes on Thursday as they play AZ Alkmaar in the Conference League, 9 p.m. Nigeria time. And then they play Brighton at home on Sunday, 3 p.m. Nigeria time. Hopefully a good performance against AZ Alkmaar could make Glasner give him more opportunities. But let's see how that one goes for him. Arokodare, I already mentioned he scored the second goal for Wolves in their 4-3 loss to Chelsea. I don't know why I said they got thrashed. It's because Chelsea were up 4-1 and then Wolves scored a few goals. So forgive me, I've been in Ghana, you know. But anyway, he played 26 minutes in that 3-0 loss against Fulham on Saturday, and then Vitor Pereira was subsequently sacked. We're still not sure who's going to be the next Wolves manager, but I know Gary O'Neill has removed himself out of contention. I heard there's a world where Erik ten Hag is being considered, so let's see what happens. But I won't lie to you, right now, if they told me to bet, there's no way I think Wolves are not getting relegated. They are awful, man. God damn, they are so bad. Excuse my French. And to make it worse, their next game is literally Chelsea away on Saturday, 9 p.m. Nigeria time. Anyway, wish our player well. As for Nottingham Forest, we know Aina is still injured, but Awoniyi played 12 minutes for Forest in a 2-2 draw against Manchester United on Saturday. He's not in the Europa League squad, so he will not play against Tom Grass, but hopefully he should get some minutes when they play Leeds United at home on Sunday, 3 p.m. Nigeria time as well. Other results in the Premier League not involving Nigerian players. Arsenal, we went to Burnley and got a routine 2-0 win. Shout out to Victor Gyökeres and Declan Rice. Unfortunately, Gyökeres is now injured, so we're playing this game with Marino as the starting striker, but I believe in my boy boys, man. We sabi this football work. Look at Nwaneri on the ball. Bukayo. Bukayo needs to wake up as well. So shout out to Arsenal for that game. Brighton thrashed Leeds United 3-0. Danny Welbeck scoring yet again. I think he scored in his third consecutive Premier League game, man. Wow, there's even shouts for him to be called up back to the England squad as Hurricanes back up. That's how well he's playing. Chelsea were excellent against Tottenham. They beat them 1-0 away. Tottenham at Chelsea. Man, excuse my French. This game should have been 4 or 5-0. João Pedro, you will pay for your crimes of missing chances. After I took you out of FPL, you now scored. But I now watch the highlights. Do you know how many chances I saw João Pedro miss? So you Chelsea fans, man, I don't know how you're coping, no. So many chances. It's almost as if your players thought it was a training session. And as for Tottenham, man, it's the spirit of the Tottenham. Like, wow. Liverpool got back to winning ways after 4 straight Premier League losses. They beat Aston Villa 2-0 at home. Mohamed Salah got back in on the goals. West Ham beat Newcastle 3-1 yesterday. Very, very good performance from West Ham. Nuno Espirito Santo is a good manager for a reason. Nottingham Forest are in this predicament is because they got greedy. And of course, Erling Haaland, Man City beat Bournemouth 3-1 on Sunday. And then last night on Monday Night Football, Sunderland drew Everton 1-1. And of course, Okereke left Tielemans and Ajayi on his bench. And Saicedo on his bench. So 19 points down the drain again. I tire, man. FPL as well. Anyway, this weekend coming, we've got a blockbuster start to the weekend on Saturday with Tottenham hosting Manchester United at the Tottenham Stadium. 1:30 p.m. kickoff Nigeria time. And then we'll have 3 p.m. kickoff UK time games, which are 4 p.m. in Nigeria. Everton hosts Fulham. Alex Iwobi's going back to his former side. And then West Ham United hosts Burnley as they look to make it 2 consecutive wins on the bounce. The late Saturday kickoff at 6:30 p.m. Nigeria time, we'll see Arsenal go to the Stadium of Light to play Sunderland, who are currently 4th in the league, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, it's a reunion between us and Granit Xhaka. So looking forward to that game. Also, as I mentioned, there's a late night kickoff game on Saturday as well, with Chelsea hosting Wolverhampton at Stamford Bridge. And then on Sunday, we've got 3 p.m. Nigeria time kickoffs. I already mentioned the ones involving our Nigerian players. So Crystal Palace hosts Brighton at Selhurst Park. Aston Villa hosts Bournemouth at Villa Park. Brentford hosts Newcastle at the GTEC Stadium. And Nottingham Forest hosts Leeds United at the City Ground. And then finally, the blockbuster game for this weekend, we'll see second and third place. Man City hosts Liverpool at the Etihad. This is just delicious to me. Arsenal, let's just beat Sunderland. Because what that means is, whatever happens, if we win Sunderland, by the end of this weekend, we'll have a 10-point lead over either Man City or Liverpool, regardless. If Liverpool lose, we'll be 10 points ahead of them. If Man City lose, we'll be 9 points ahead of them. But left to me, I want them to just draw so that we can be 7 and 8 points ahead of both of them. And let's just be increasing our gap. I don't want any close title race. Let them say it's boring. The same way they say us now set pieces are boring. We like it like that. I want to whitewash the league. Let us be 15 points ahead by January. I don't want to hear any. Let them call the league boring. Let it be like League One prior to this season, please. So we look forward to all the games. So of course, Arsenal were 6 points ahead of second place Man City after 10 games. Man City are standalone in second, and then Liverpool and Sunderland are third and fourth with 18 points. They both have 18 points, and Bournemouth also have 18 points. Forgive me. And then Tottenham, Chelsea, and Man United are 6th, 7th, 8th, all on 17 points, and then Crystal Palace are 9th with 16 points. Brighton and Villa 10th, 11th on 15 points, and then Brentford on 13 points. It's a very competitive league season. After 10 games, even Burnley, who are just above the relegation zone on 10 points, are only 9 points away from Man City in second. So you have to say that this season is proving to be a very competitive Premier League season, and it's really good to see because we claim to be the best league in the world for a reason. And that just means that the level of talent in every club is of a certain level. And that's what the evidence is currently suggesting. Of course, except Arsenal, who's on a different level. Anyway, quickly, because of the Nigerian national team, Shemi Ajayi played 45 minutes for Hull City in a 2-0 win over Norwich on Saturday. Next up for Shemi Ajayi, he'll be playing Derby County away tonight. So by the time you see this episode, he would have played that game. And then they play Portsmouth at home on Saturday, 1:30 p.m. As for Brighton, Osayi-Samuel, I said earlier, he came on the 89th minute for Birmingham in a 4-0 win over Portsmouth, so he did not start. I sincerely hope he starts today as they play Millwall at home. and then they play Middlesbrough away on Saturday, 4 p.m. Nigeria time. So let's see what happens, and I expect both of those players to be put into the Nigeria squad. As for Serie, I already spoke about Ademola Lookman's exploits over the past week. He did come off the bench to play 31 minutes and then 1-0 loss to Udinese, so he did not start the game, by the way. Anyway, he'll be in action in the Champions League tomorrow as Atalanta go away to play Marseille. That should be a tasty game, 9 p.m. Nigeria time. And then on the weekend, Atalanta go to play Sassuolo away on Sunday, who realistically they should be hoping to beat, because Sassuolo are not the best team. They just got promoted and they're really struggling. I already spoke about Ebenezer Akinsanmiro's exploits. Next up for his team, they play Cremonese at home Friday, 8:45 p.m. Nigeria time. So hopefully he can be playing that match while being praised for while having a call-up under his belt. Sorry, I saw Gabriel out of the pitch to the left of me, and if you know how important Gabriel is to us now, I panic slightly, but I see he's about to come onto the field, so we breathe again. 19 minutes gone, still 0-0 for Arsenal versus Slavia Prague, but we get time. We'll see how the game goes. Anyway, moving on next to Gift Urban. I already spoke about what Gift Urban did over the past weekend. Next up for his team, they play Lecce away on Saturday, 3 p.m. Nigeria time. I, of course, already spoke about Maduka Okoye as well. Next up for him, he goes to the Stadio Olimpico to play Roma away on Sunday. By the way, Serie A, Napoli currently have 22 points, and you have Inter, AC Milan, and Roma all on 21 points. So it looks like for yet another season, Serie A is going to have a very competitive title race. But of course, we're hoping that Maduka Okoye's team can put a dent into Roma's title ambitions. But this is why great coaches matter. Roma got Gasperini from Atalanta. Now Roma are flying in the league. Atalanta, they cannot buy a win to save their lives. So, good coaching still matters. Yes, players are the most important, but you cannot cheat good coaching. In La Liga, I already spoke about Adams getting an assist. Ejuke also played that game, started as Sevilla beat Toledo 4-1. Unfortunately, both of them came off the bench to play 18 and 11 minutes respectively. Adams playing 18 minutes in their 3-0 loss to Atletico Madrid. So, Sevilla are firmly on mid-table La Liga radar, 13th. And honestly, that's how they've been behaving for the past 3 or 4 years. Next up for them, though, they play Osasuna at home on Saturday. So hopefully we'll see Aquadams somehow finds way into the starting lineup for Isaac Romero. So watch that space. Omar Sadiq finally played the game as international. We mentioned as a footballer, you know, he got an assist on Tuesday. And Real Sociedad's game, 3-0 win over Negrera on Tuesday. And then over the weekend, he was on the bench as Real Sociedad got a big 3-2 win over their past rivals, Athletic Bilbao, on Saturday. Next up for them, they play Elche away on Friday, 9 p.m. Nigeria time. I don't know if you are the Barcelona fans, you watched your game against Elche. I didn't know Rafa Mir had moved to Elche, man. He hit the bar 3 times and even scored a goal. He must have been so frustrated that Barcelona won that game. But anyway, let's see if Omar Sadiq can at least force his way to get some minutes in La Liga games. As for Bundesliga, yes, Argo and Tella are still injured, but good news for Boniface is he's now starting games for Werder Bremen. He played 64 minutes in their 1-1 draw against Mainz on Saturday. Hopefully he can continue starting and finally score his first goal for the team when they play Wolfsburg at home Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Nigeria time. Look, this is a player I'm rooting for. I have nothing against him. I want him to shine. We know what his talent levels are. So hopefully he can get a goal, and just once he breaks his duck, hopefully it will be like the London buses that just come. You're waiting for one for ages, and all of a sudden there's 5 in a row. So we wish Boniface all the best, and let's see how he gets on. Kevin Akpogba, on the other hand, came on in the second half of extra time for Hoffenheim. They drew 2-2 in the DFB Pokal and lost 8-7 on penalties. And then he was on the bench for Hoffenheim in their 3-2 win over Wolfsburg. This guy is clearly a periphery player now for Hoffenheim, and I don't ever expect him to be caught up with Super Eagles again, if I'm being brutally honest. Based on his age, committing to us too late, never really playing that well. You can tell he didn't really integrate himself. He probably is one of the players that suffered from Kenoro leaving the national team. But also, when you take too long to become international and make it clear to us that we're like second choice in your eyes, you have to live the consequences of your decision. Now, you're not rated by Germany and you're not rated by Nigeria. So live with the consequences. Well done to everybody involved. Next up for them, anyway, his team plays Leipzig at home. He'll probably be on the bench yet again, but we'll watch this space. Torunariga, another player with 1 cap for Nigeria and took too long to play for us. Now he's 28 years old and is now on the bench for a newly promoted team in Hamburg that signed him to come and play in the Bundesliga. The good news for him is he did play in the DFB Pokal. They beat Heidenheim 1-0 on Tuesday, 90 minutes, but then he was on the bench as Hamburg lost 4-1 to Cologne. So he needs to force his way back into the starting lineup for league games. And he's another player that, when you take too long to commit to us, we don't really send you like that. I think his father ever played for Nigeria. When you do Shakara for us, you're going to play Olympic Games for Germany when you're already 23 years old. So another player, live with the consequence of decisions. Look, for every of these Torunarigas and co, there's a Olise, a Saka, that has worked out well for them for their European nation, and we wish them well, you know. But our concern is Nigeria, and we have pride in ourselves, and we see ourselves as giants. Club, your country does not pay your salary, so I hate the argument of, but how they pay them? Yes, things need to get better in NFF, but start with passion and commitment. Two things can be right, so we'll see what happens anyway. And then. Anyway, Torunariga's team play Borussia Dortmund this weekend on Saturday, so we'll see if he plays games in that one. And then finally, in the top 5 leagues, I spoke about Osayi-Samuel already scoring the winner for Paris FC in their 1-0 win over Monaco on Saturday. He also started as they drew 3-3 against Lyon on Wednesday, so playing really well and good form. And next up for him, he plays Rennes at home on Friday, 8:45 p.m. Nigeria time. Chidozie Awoniyi played 76 minutes and then came off injured as Nantes lost 5-3 to Monaco on Wednesday. But he played 90 minutes in their 2-0 loss to Metz on Saturday. I watched the highlights and I just felt bad for him, man, because watching his defensive colleague, if you see this young boy, they considered 2 goals in like the last 10 minutes of the game, and if you see the errors, you just laugh. Like, it was not Awoniyi, like, I'm sure he was so frustrated at what his teammates were doing. So we wish him better luck next time as they play Le Havre away on Saturday. George Onyeka was on the bench for Monaco, and then played 8 minutes in their 1-0 loss Paris FC. Let me not lie, Onyeka too is a bit of a bench boy, yo. Like, yes, we praised him for last season and here or there, but if you cannot get any minutes over Balogun and Mika Bereth, maybe we over... Let's see, let's see. I don't want to jump the gun because I was hoping that Nigeria could pick him up too. But he's not really playing games like that. There's something about his gameplay that does not seem to watch with the manager. So let's see how things go anyway going forward. Anyway, next up for Onyeka, his team plays Bodo Glimt away tonight, 9 p.m. Nigeria time. So hopefully he can get some minutes in that game. And then they play Lens at home on Saturday, which is another very, very good clash because Lens at the moment are second in the league and flying high, which is really, really good to see. But unfortunately, speaking of Lens, Hamza Jadinro, I don't know what's going on. He's not been in the squad for Lens' last 2 games. He fell out of favour with Will still last year and did not play games. And now he's not even being put on the bench while the team is doing well and second in the league, which is quite concerning. You know, he was not in the squad in their 2-0 loss to Metz on Wednesday, and he was not in the squad for their 3-0 win over Lorient on Sunday either. So it's unlikely he'll be in the squad when they play Monaco away on Saturday. But we're hoping for the best for him because if he can force his way back into the side, Lens, if they stay at their current trajectory with Florian Thauvin really, really doing so well and running the years back, he could be a Champions League player next season. But let's see and we'll watch this space and see how he can resurrect his career at the club. I already mentioned in Portugal that Zedu Sanusi was not in the squad for Porto's last 2 victories, both last Monday when they beat Morense 2-1 and also when they beat Braga 2-1 on Sunday. Let's see if he gets some game time when they play FC Utrecht on Thursday in the Europa League, 6:45 Nigeria time, and then they play Famalicão away on Sunday, 7 p.m. Nigeria time, before the break for international break. In Belgium, I spoke about Onyeka making his return from injury. He played 27 minutes as Club Brugge beat Benjamin Fredericks FCV Dender 2-1 on Saturday. The good news is he's now back in form to play Barcelona tomorrow in the Champions League. These are the kind of games I want for my players and for our countrymen. So let's see. Onyeka should probably start tomorrow when they play Barcelona at home, 9 p.m. Nigeria time. I know Nigeria has a lot of Barca and Madrid fans. So let me know how Onyeka gets on. I'll probably watch the match too because Arsenal are playing now. And then they play Ghent away on Sunday. As for Benjamin Frederick, he did play 90 minutes in both games, both the 2-1 loss to Club Brugge and also in the 4-2 win over Olympique de Charleroi in the Belgian Cup last week Tuesday. He will be in action against Zulte Waregem at home on Friday, 8:45 p.m. Nigeria time. Go well, our son. We cannot wait to see the national team. In Turkey, Victor Osimhen played 90 minutes as Galatasaray drew 0-0 against Trabzonspor on Saturday. There was a really cute image of Osimhen, Onuachu, and Andre Onana all hugging each other and being all friendly, as West African neighbors now. But unfortunately, Onana was able to thwart Osimhen in that game. Anyway, our superstar will be next in action tomorrow night as Galatasaray go away to play Ajax, 9 p.m. Nigeria time. I also watched an interview he did for the Champions League website talking about how much he loves playing for Galatasaray and he's willing to give his all for the team. He said the truth is, I even love this club. So Gala fans, I'm sure that was amazing to hear. And look, you can't doubt his commitment the way he performs. And he clearly wants to do great things for your club. So long may it continue. For me, as long as he continues to play in Champions League and scores these goals and remains in consciousness of showing how much of a big bad bully he can be to defenses that deserve it, I'm happy. So anyway, after the Ajax game, he'll play Kocaeli away on Sunday. As for Onuachu, his next game will be Alanya Sport on Saturday, 3 p.m. Nigeria time. Actually, forgive me, I forgot to mention, there's a world where Onuachu might be called up as the third striker rather than Arokodare. Because if he's on form, I know we have to move forward because Onuachu is already 30 plus and his record for Nigeria is abysmal, like 3 goals in over 25 caps. But on form, Onuachu deserves to be the third striker, if I'm being honest. So there's a world where Onuachu might be called up. So let's see what happens. And as for Besiktas, Wilfred Ndidi played 86 minutes. As Besiktas lost 3 to Fenerbahce on Sunday, really bad loss for them there. They remain 7th in the league. And then next up, they play Antalyaspor away. As for Anthony Dennis, another player who should be on the Super Eagles radar, he played 90 minutes here again as Gotsepe beat Gen Klebrigli 1-0. Mind you, Gen Klebrigli, Onyeka and Tom Dele-Bashiru play for that team. So that should be that was an interesting game. But we have quite a few players playing in Turkey at the moment. Next up for Gotsepe, they play Kasimpasa away on Saturday. In the Czech League, Igor Ogbo is still injured, but David Moses was on the bench for Slavia Prague in their 4-0 win over FC Zlin in the Czech Cup on Wednesday. He then played 83 minutes as they beat Baník Ostrava 2-0 on Saturday. And right now, he's currently playing against my beloved Arsenal right now. By the way, I want these kids to know Osimhen or no. This is Osimhen. I bought to Naples. I'm not just waiting for Wayne's sake. Let's channel the championship energy. But speaking about even David Moses, Arsenal have a penalty right now. So the VAR is just going to give Arsenal the penalty. Bukayo Saka has grabbed the ball and is about to take the penalty for Arsenal to go 1-0 up after 31 minutes played in our Champions League tie against Slavia Prague. David Moses is starting the game. I've seen him in the match, but of course I've been recording, so I'll watch the second half fully with my whole eyes. And Bukayo Saka is about to step up. Let's just know if he puts the ball in the net. Buki. Run up, start step. Finished. 1-0 Arsenal. Let's go. Good dive by the goalkeeper, but fantastic penalty by Bukayo Saka. So 1-0 Saka. I need that for my FPL. I am FPL players. Can you see how bad Saka has been in FPL compared to Declan Rice? Better channel this energy, Bukayo, please, so that we can, we have Tottenham to play soon after Sunderland. We have some big games coming. So we need that energy, my boy. And then we move. So anyway, David Moses, commiserations for this probable L that's coming. But really, really good to see him playing. Look, we've been complaining about our talent pool of midfielders. Now all of a sudden we have Akinsanmiro, we have Anthony Dennis, we have David Moses. Yes, we still need a creative midfielder, someone that can unlock a pass. Nwaneri, all these kind of easies. Nwaneri is still eligible for us, so there's even a world where I can see him playing for us, but let's see. But at least in terms of having destructive midfielders or box-to-box midfielders, we have to say that the talent line is definitely coming through. In fact, the irony is Nigeria normally we create a lot of wingers. Now, Look at our talent pool of wingers, really shallow. But those central midfield options and DM, a choke now. So long may continue along with strikers. So anyway, we'll wish Dave Moses better luck when they play Victoria Pilsen away on Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Nigeria time. Speaking of Victoria Pilsen, Rafiu Durosimi played 45 minutes and scored for them in a 2-0 win over FC North Sadi on Wednesday, and then he played 81 minutes in the 2-1 win over Teplice on Sunday. He will be in action in the Europa League on Thursday against Fenerbahce, 9 p.m. Nigeria time, and then he should play in that game against Slavia Prague on Sunday. As for Emmanuel Uche at Sparta Prague, he played 45 minutes in their 2-1 loss to Karvina on Sunday. He will also be in action in Europe this Thursday against Rako Częstochowa. Rako, that must be Polish. Yeah, so Polish team. In Greece, Bruno Yemachi played 19 minutes for Olympiacos, their 5-0 win over NFC Volos on Wednesday in the Greek Cup. And then he played 90 minutes and got a yellow card in their 2-1 win over Aris Thessaloniki on Saturday. Next match, he will also be in action tonight for Olympiacos as they play PSV at home, 9 p.m. Nigeria time kickoff. So in just under 2 hours. And then they play Kifisia away on Sunday, but it's very likely he'll be on the bench, but he's someone that really needs to force himself back into the good books of his manager. Desert is still injured. Iheanacho is still injured for Celtic, and Filippo Tella did play 73 minutes for Basel, 2-0 win over Zurich, and then he played 74 minutes in their 0-0 draw against Young Boys on Sunday. So this is what I mean about wingers that are not doing enough to break it to the side. Otele is doing okay, but he's not doing so well that we're like, we need to bring this boy into the squad, man. He's undeniable. But let him continue doing what he's doing, Sha. Starting in Europa League on Thursday when they play FCSB, basically Star Bucharest of Romania. And then they play Lugano at home on Sunday in the Swiss League. As for Stanley Nwabali, he did play 90 minutes. He was back in action for Chippa United, but they did lose 3-0 to Amazulu FC on Saturday. Nwabali, we've already spoken about that, and it's quite interesting seeing some people try to make it seem like criticizing Nwabali is an agenda. I've never understood that take. Like, people are just showing their biases. Even this Simobike guy that I respect who has been doing with the football thing, I saw him try to call out Puja for mentioning the fact that Chippa United are playing well, and it sounded like a really ridiculous thing. Chippa United are 16th out of 16th in the PSL. They've played 12 games, they've lost 7 games, they've drawn 4 and they've won 1 game. They've conceded 19 goals in those 12 games. Their goal difference is -12. They are by far the worst team in South Africa right now. Yes, Nwabali has had shaky moments for the Nigerian national team. And you can say in one word that he has not let us down. But really, is it crazy to say that how can your team be the last in PSL and you say that criticism is not valid? Nah, come on now. Let's be objective here. We still expect Nwabali and want him to start the game against Gabon because he's not let us down too much. But you could see moments where he was acting like there was no competition. And now you have Maduka Okoye who are 8th in Serie A in Italy, starting games against world-class attackers. And Nwabali is playing against, at best, Mamelodi Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates. And yet his team is last. And you say they cannot call it out. It's not good now. It's not good. It's not good. I don't like this thing. Then you now make it seem like it's an agenda. Don't do that now. Please remain objective, our content creator. I like what you're doing, but really dissect these thoughts before you bring them out, because it makes you look biased. The same thing you're accusing someone of is what we'll accuse you of. Well done. Anyway, next game for them, they play Magesi FC on Tuesday. At least Magesi are 14th. So this is a relegation 6-pointer. So hopefully Chippa United can finally do some good for the team. And let's see how it goes. Anyway, that's it for the player reviews for this week. Sorry about the length of this episode, but to be honest, I should stop apologizing because I know you guys like the long content. The people who don't like the long content, remember we chop the videos up into smaller content so you can see all the information you need for various profiles or segments of the podcast. But I appreciate every listener. Short-term listener, long-term listener, shorts viewer, actual full podcast viewer, clips viewer, social media viewers, social media video viewers. They will never go and check the podcast though. They will just judge the 30-minute clip you dropped as promo. But it's all welcome. Thank you so much for all the support and keep going. This week I'm going to do something unique because I don't think anybody stood out so significantly that they should be given Actually, I take that back. I'll rejig it in my mind. For this week, bronze medal, I'll give Ademola Lookman. Current African Footballer of the Year. And one of the most important Super Eagles players we have, whether you like it or not. Ademola Lookman finally got back into scoring ways for Atalanta against AC Milan last week Wednesday in their 1-1 draw and showed the talent that he has. Whereas we hope he can continue when he plays in the Champions League tonight or tomorrow for Atalanta when they go to play Marseille away. And of course in their league game over the weekend just before the international break breaks up. But for just getting back on in the goals and showing the talent that we all know he has, he gets the bronze medal for this week. Now the silver medalist for me this week has to be Maduka Okoye. When you make 9 saves against Juventus, the old lady, by far the most successful club in Italy. I think they have 34, 35 league titles. The nearest to them is Inter and AC Milan. One of them has 20, the other has 19. Or maybe they've just tied each other on 20. It's still a big achievement. Yes, you considered 3 goals, but 2 were penalties. That means you made 9 saves. That means the amount of shots that are raining on your goal, your defense did not even help you. But you still put in such a great performance. And then you follow that up with a clean sheet for your team against Atalanta, who are one of the most potent attacking teams in Italy last season. Yes, since Gasperini has left, they've become a lot blunter. But still, this is a formidable team playing in the Champions League. And you keep a clean sheet and make a few pretty decent saves. So, Maduka Okoye, well done. And for, I think, even the mental strength, because this is a player that's only been playing football for the past 2 weeks now. And to see the performances he's putting up straight away is really, really impressive. So, Maduka Okoye, you get the silver medal for this week. Now, the gold medal for this week, I want to give it to Moses Simon. The reason is very, very simple. Moses Simon's Paris FC team, yes, they just got promoted and they've gone on a recruitment drive. They have Kevin Trapp in goal. They have Otavio. They have Maxi Lopez. They have Jonathan Crasso. They have Moses Simon. They've gone to go and buy a lot of good players is the point. But still, it takes time for chemistry to bed in, you know. But similar to Sunderland, not as well as Sunderland, but Paris FC has proven to be a very formidable team in League One so far. I know I criticized this move initially, but this is why when new evidence comes, we must praise and also take back some of the things we've said. So, yes, first of all, they drew 3-3 against Lyon on Wednesday, with him playing 67 minutes. But over this weekend, he scored the winning goal as Paris FC went all the way to Monaco, who are one of the teams that attempt to challenge for the league title, and got a 1-0 win in there, with Moses Simon scoring the goal with his weak foot after a lovely cutback by Maxi Lopez. It was a bit of a lucky finish with his right foot, but a goal is a goal. And Moses Simon continues to show that in League One, he's one of the most formidable places. I imagine if I lived in France, we would look at Moses Simon almost like how we used to look at Wilfred Zaha in England, where he's good enough to play for a Big Six team, maybe be a backup, maybe not necessarily a starter. But when you look at all the players outside of the big boys, he's like the king among all the small boys. You know, so Moses Simon, with everything he was doing in League One over the course of all these years, I'm even sure as a French citizen now, you have to say that it's really, really impressive. And for scoring the winning goal against Monaco, you are the Starboy of the week. So congratulations to you, Moses Daddy Simon. Yes, Daddy is actually his middle name. Now, to round up the podcast and the ones to watch, Wednesday, Ademola Lookman's Atalanta play Marseille, 9 p.m. Nigeria time. Rafael Ndidi is also in Champions League action for Club Brugge against Barcelona at home, 9 p.m. too. And Victor Osimhen's Galatasaray go away to play against Galatasaray, 9 p.m. Nigeria time too. On Thursday, we have a bunch of Nigerian players in the Conference League and Europa Leagues. Uche and Sparta Prague play Rako Czestochowa, 6:45 p.m. in the Conference League. FC Utrecht will be at home to Zedusansis Porto in the Europa League, 6:45 p.m. time. Filippo Telle's FC Basel play Stal Bucharest, 6:45 p.m. And Irasour's Genk will go away to play Braga in the Europa League. Also, Victoria Pilsen's Rafael Durosimi will be at home against Fenerbahce, 9 p.m. Nigeria time. And then to round up the games to watch before the international break, on Saturday we'll see our Fulham trio go away to play Everton at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. And then Arokodare's Wolves will be hoping to somehow get a win when they go to Stamford Bridge, 9 p.m. Nigeria time. On Sunday, Lookman will be in action against Sassuolo away, 12:30 p.m. Nigeria time. Victor Osimhen's Galatasaray go away to play Kocaelispor, so Osimhen will be looking to get back into the goals, but I would not be surprised if he scores tomorrow, to be honest. Frank Onyeka's Brentford are home to Newcastle, 3 p.m. Nigeria time. Uche's Crystal Palace are at home to Brighton in what is one of the big derbies in England, the M25 derby, but of course we know Uche is unlikely to play, but look, we hope we're wrong. Awoniyi's Nottingham Forest will be in action at home against Leeds. And finally, Maduka Okoye's Udinese will be in action at the Stadio Olimpico as they look to thwart Gasparini's Roma side as they charge towards the top of the Serie A table. So that's it for this episode of the podcast. Very, very happy to be back. I mean, always a pleasure talking Nigeria football. As I said, apologies for the delayed episode, but I want to say a big, big thank you to everybody that's been listening. You can see I've even been in sun. My face looks even darker safe. So shout out to Ghana, fantastic country. Man, Nigeria and Ghana were really brothers and sisters. We're so similar yet so different. But I really felt the warmth and love in that place. So shout out to Ghana, and hopefully Nigeria, we can join in the World Cup too so we can support both teams. But if not, we'll still support you as our little brothers. But enjoy the football coming throughout the week. And of course, look out for the Nigeria Football Federation dropping the Super Eagles squad list, which we'll review and do an analysis on. But looking forward to reviewing all the games in club football coming soon. And of course, all guns blazing towards Gabon and Nigeria potentially doing what we have to do and going to America. See you on the next episode of the podcast, guys.
Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell to get a notification whenever we drop the video. You can also find our social media channels listed below. And of course, up Super Eagles and Nigeria, they ever carry last.